We're going to start with number one, how I actually think about vibe coding in an application. That's the goal number one. So we could talk about just like the basics in and out of like how to actually get started with vibe coding. And then from there, we're going to try to deploy the Cloudflare as fast as possible because that's super important. We're going to build the basic application. We're going to deploy the Cloudflare. Once we get the basics up and running, then we're going to start iterating. Now, my mission is that we're going to start very simple because I just want to make sure that for the beginners, the newcomers deal, that they have some of that framework in place or at least some of the foundation. And then we're going to try to fast track it and jump to some of the more advanced stuff. And the hope is that the beginners will be able to get pulled along. The sort of more advanced people will get some of the more advanced way of doing things. And hopefully if there's any questions, you guys will just throw it my way and then we'll figure things out from there. So I got ChatGPT open and we're just going to see what's going on. Hey, I'm trying to do a live vibe coding session. Some of my users said that they wanted some starter level stuff and they wanted to do some advanced concept. What would you think would be a good vibe coding app for a vibe coding 101 intro class?
Hey, Dwayne. Sure, we can definitely brainstorm a fun vibe coding 101 app idea. For a first intro class, it's usually nice to pick something that's not too intimidating, but still has a little aha moment for the audience. Okay. One idea might be a simple to-do list app where you can show how to quickly spin up a Nux 3 project. We could do something like a really lightweight to-do app where you show them how to create tasks, mark them as done, and maybe even add a little bit of flair like a color-coded priority. That way they get to see something functional pretty quickly.
Do you have any other ideas? To-do app is too boring.
Absolutely, we can spice it up. If a to-do app feels a bit too run-of-the-mill, let's go for something a little more playful. Maybe a simple interactive mood tracker app where users can log how they're feeling each day with...
Tell you what, let's go with a video platform because I actually want to build this any which way for myself. So what we're going to do is we're going to build let's call it an internal video platform so that they could host videos and you could almost like a mini YouTube, but it's more for a corporate network. Does that sound good?
Yeah, totally. That sounds like a perfect little project and honestly a lot more interesting than a to-do list. So we'll go for a mini internal YouTube-like platform where folks in the company can upload and share videos. We can walk them through setting up the front end with Next, maybe use something like a simple file storage or Cloudflare R2 for video storage, and just build a neat little upload and playback flow. I think that's going to be a fun one.
Great. Okay, so let's start with this. Now that you know exactly what we want to do, can you give me some of the top features? Again, I'm trying to do this within about 2 hours or so, maybe 2.5. So I need to build like an MVP. We're going to try and see if we could build it, sort of the initial MVP, push it out to Cloudflare, and then we're going to extend it. For the first version of it, we won't do any actual database stuff. We're just going to hard code things in and then we're going to push it out to Cloudflare. So what I want you to do is just help me to think about some of the features for an initial MVP and just come up with a list.
Absolutely. Let's break down a nice little MVP feature set that you can knock out in a couple of hours. We'll keep it super lean and Cloudflare friendly. Core MVP features for the internal video platform. Video upload form. We'll start with just a basic page where a user can select a video file from their device and upload it. Just a simple choose file and upload deal. Video listing page. After uploading, we'll have a super simple page that just lists all the videos that have been uploaded. Video playback. Each video in that list should be clickable to a basic player page where you can actually watch the video. We can just use a standard HTML5 video element so people can hit play and see that it works. Deploy to Cloudflare pages. Finally, we'll set it up so you can push this whole MVP onto Cloudflare pages for hosting. That way you can show them how easy it is to get the whole thing live on the edge. And that's pretty much it. Just a neat little loop, upload a video, see it on a list, click it to play it.
Let's put a key value store in there. So we could just basically store the core list in the key value store. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. We can bring in a key value store like Cloudflare KV to keep that list of videos persistent. That way, even though we're not going full database mode, we still have a simple way to store and retrieve the video metadata. When a video is uploaded, we stash the info in KV, and then the listing page just pulls from that KV store.
Okay, good. So can you help me to create a PRD document?
Absolutely. Let's put together a nice and quick PRD for this. I'll lay it out in a way that covers the core points we just talked about. Product requirements document, PRD, internal video platform, internal video sharing platform for a corporate network.
Okay, so while she's talking, She's basically just going through all the details and just tell me exactly what it's doing. So why am I doing this? Now, if you notice, I didn't start with the computer. I didn't start to go on any sort of Lovable or Bolt or any single thing of the sort. I'm literally just having a conversation with AI. And this is the thing that I think most people are missing when they're doing AI as a whole, is they're underestimating how much value there is in just having a conversation with the AI. And that's probably the big and the best foundational sort of knowledge that I want to make sure that everybody understands if you're trying to do a vibe coding app. Personally, I find it to be the most fastest, most efficient way of just offloading my entire idea of what I want to talk about into the vibe coding platform. Yes, so let's go back to what I was saying about the vibe coding. So the reason why I had that conversation is because I'm able to just really quickly and simply offload all of my ideas, all of my thoughts into the AI, so it could at least formulate some sort of understanding of what is it that I'm trying to accomplish. And then from there, I could then switch over to the computer and kind of take things to the next level. So hopefully that's given you some understanding of at least the first part, because that's the really important thing, is offload your ideas into the computer. Okay, if you do this, the problem with the AI, aka the voice version, is that it doesn't do a good job of actually giving you documents, because it's having a conversation, right? So it doesn't provide a document that outlines all the stuff that you asked for, which is where switching back to the actual ChatGPT makes a lot of sense. So I just want to make sure that we do that. Okay, now we're going to try to do our first switch here. Let's see if we can do this. Switch main camera, presentation. Is that right? Yeah, okay, allow. Can you see that? You should be able to. Here's hoping. And then we're going to go to, okay, so vibe coding. Let's go, baby. All right, vibe coding 101. Okay. So product requirements document, initial video, etc. What we're going to do is we're going to get it to expand this PRD, because what the goal is that it knows what we want to do, but if you could give me a proper expand and give me a markdown. So while this is being generated, like I said, the goal is now, because it has context, because it understands exactly what is it that I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get now a full-on actual document of the requirements that we're going to be using to actually build things out. Now, I didn't actually specify the technology. However, we're going to be using Nox 3 and Tailwind in this particular case. We're going to be using Cloudflare workers. We're going to use a key value store. We're going to use R2 for storage or some kind of fallback for now. Hosted in Cloudflare pages, GitHub Action is optional. And yeah, this should get us to that 2-hour mark, basically. With this format, how should we actually start? Okay, so that's fine. So we got our PRD document. Now I'm going to ask it for a markdown. Can you give me a markdown? Okay. And again, we're going to use that PRD. If you don't know what a PRD is, it stands for Project Requirements Document, and it's really just an outline of a requirements document of what is it that you're actually building. Okay. Now, generally speaking, you might have a PRD for each feature. If you're in a really large company, you'd have a PRD for each feature. We're not going to do that. We're just going to have a PRD for the entire actual platform itself. What screen is, oh, that's the wrong screen. Okay, let's do it here, and let's change, no, this one, there we go. Okay, yeah, I think that's right, there we go. With this PRD, it's given us at least a foundation of what it is we need. So we're gonna need a task list. So just to recap so far, we got our PRD document. Our PRD document is a basic document that we're gonna use to get a full outline of the entire application. Okay, and so what is a task list? It literally is all of the steps that we're going to need in order to build this out. So at least we have something to follow. And by we, the AI, when we actually start building. And that's deliberate, because if you're going to do any single thing with vibe coding, you have to make sure that you do planning ahead of time. Like, the planning is so critical to getting this right. Okay, so we got our PRD document, our MVP task list, and we got our video. We're going to do a playback. And again, for anybody that's joining, we're building an internal video platform, right? It's basically going to be like YouTube, but for internal corporate account, internal company. So I got 2 documents done. I got my PRD, I got my task list, which I'm going to use to keep track of things all together. The next thing I care about, more importantly, is a style guide. Now, here's where it gets a little bit wonky, okay? Because I want a style guide. I want it to look good. There's better platforms for style. one of them being VZero. VZero will give me a decent platform. The problem with it, VZero will give me a good design, but it's going to give me a not next application. And that's the issue that I'm going to run into here. So we got a couple options. Let's tell the AI, let's say, give me a prompt that I could use to create a style guide for my application. Okay. And we're going to take this, we're going to get a prompt, and this prompt, what we're going to do is we're going to use that to try and figure out what's the best way to create sort of a style guide for the entire application. Okay, so recommendation, paste this into ChatGPT cursor, by color, handout, etc., dark mood strategy, tailwind, CSS. Okay, so I'm going to use this, and I'm actually going to go across to VZero. I'm going to try to give VZero this, so VZero can give me a style guide. Can you give me a recommended style guide? Now, this is a little bit of a hodgepodge, I will admit that, because VZero is just better at UI and design, but again, it's going to give me something that is not in the format that I want it to. So that's what we're going to do. Now, while that's happening, we're going to go across to Google Sketch, and we're going to experiment, because I'm going to play around with try to figure out like what is the best design that I want to go with for this application. So we're going to go to Google Sketch, and what I'm going to do is, let's see, so yes, comprehensive guide. Yes. Do not build the actual app. Just give me the style guide or give me HTML design concepts. Okay. So what am I doing here? I'm trying to force the AI into, or at least VZero, to give me something that's reputable. That's something that kind of resembles something that I like. And by the way, let me just do this very quickly while I have some things. So I'm going to go to my actual application, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So this is an application that I actually built a while back. Let me just log into a demo account here. So click on login, and then, okay. So here's an application. This entire application was 100% vibe coded. I want to be clear with that. Now, yeah, okay. So this is all dummy data for YouTube so that they don't take down my video, but this is all dummy data. So this was 100% vibe coded. One of the biggest problems that I ran into when I started building this application altogether was keeping the AI consistent. I use VZero a lot for this. The best way that I found to do this properly was to do it in sections. So I'll give you an example. This settings section as an example, this entire section here, it was copy and paste into ChatGPT, get ChatGPT to give me sort of the fields and the structure of the HTML, then take that, put it into VZero, and just copy just that section from VZero. The problem that I run into consistently over and over with that is that every time we went into VZero, it would give me a slightly different styling, and that became a problem. So what I ended up having to do is component by component, literally use it to just tweak and edit those exact same, just those small components, if that's making sense, right? However, of recent, I've come up with a slightly different approach, which is instead of trying to just do page by page, is use the really good designer tools like VZero, which I think is fantastic from a design standpoint, to help me come up with the style, because it knows the language a little bit better. And then from there, use that to try and see if I could influence something like Google Sketch in order to come up with some consistent UI design ahead of time. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a sec. Okay, so let's do this. So do not build the actual thing, any color preference. Just make it modern, make it focus on like just modern design principles. It's going to be corporate, so nothing too crazy in terms of colors, etc. Just pick something and just go with it. You make the choices. Think YouTube style, but for internal corporate network. Okay, good. So again, we're just going through the motion here. And this is the good thing about doing this live, is that you get to see in real time how long it actually takes to do this properly. Okay, we're half an hour in. And what I'm going to try to do in the next portion, while we think about design and UX and all that type of stuff, is we're going to try to see if we could just get like the backend portion of things going. So let's do it this way. All right, here's my pen. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. Okay, we're vibe coding, so we need to think about speed. All right, so there's two parts to the application, a little bit three parts. Okay, there's the PRD, okay, which is what we just did. Then we have the U, which is basically what we're doing right now. And then we'll call it the backend, but really the actual code. Okay, and then we got the deploy. Okay, so while I'm working through this, we have a sort of a PRD. We're trying to figure out what our UI should look like. So this is in question right now. Okay, these two are independent. So what we're going to try to do while we're figuring out this UI section, which will take the longest, by the way, because this and this kind of have to work hand in hand, these two. But what we're going to try to do is, while that's happening, is we're going to try to at least get a foundation of an application in place. And I'm a big believer, as soon as you get that application, you push it up into Cloudflare or at least a public network right away, so that at least you could know that this part is working. And then you could start layering complexity onto it altogether. I find that's just a simpler way to think about things, because then you have a public link that you could check. And then as you start to check in code or you start running your code, you can instantly check it and get that feedback right away. So that's what we're going to do. Now we're coming up with a brand style. See, it came with a whole thing of brand identity. Now, I don't know if I'm going to use all of this, but the point is that we're coming up with a design system that we could potentially use. Okay, so VZero has given me something. Again, VZero knows design. So use the tools that is good for. VZero, I think by far is one of the best design tools. Now, arguably Lovable is doing something similar, probably even better. I find use Lovable design to be pretty solid. But that being said, doing it this way here, at least I could get something that I could consistently hand out to an AI model. All right. So hopefully that drives home the point. And again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to take this information and we're going to try to combine it with that, and we're going to try to push it into Sketch, and hopefully Sketch will give us a design where we could get all of the HTML, and then we're going to bring that into locally. We're going to jump down locally. We're going to try to see if we could get this set up and then push it into Cloudflare here. So let me do a couple of things here. So one is I'm going to pull this up. We're going to go get a AI projects folder. And again, we're doing everything from scratch. There's no preset here. There's no whatever. We're just going to create a brand new folder and we're just going to set things up properly, because I really want to make sure that everybody kind of understands how to use the best tools for the best job. So what are we doing here? Let's call it YouTube Live Week 1. So you guys know there's multiple weeks. Okay. So let's do that. That's number one. And by the way, every single thing I'm doing here live, I'm going to give you guys this code. Like, we're going to build application and we're going to give them away, just to be clear, so that you can do this in the future. You could take the code, you could go build an entire application around it. In fact, some of the series, one of the things that I want to actually do is we're going to build some of these things, we're going to ship them, and then we're going to try to actually sell them. Like, we're the whole 9 yards, because at the end of the day, that's what we're in about, right? We're not here to play around. Nobody's here to hang out and just code. I'm sorry. If that's your mission, then go somewhere else. We're here to make money. Okay, so we got a folder here. Let's do one more thing. Now, the best framework that I found to do, or at least initial framework, again, this is because is Bolt.new. Bolt does a pretty good job of getting me foundation, but it does too much. So I'm going to just tell it, can you give me a bare bones Nux application with the Nux set up, and make sure that Tailwind and all the other stuff is properly set up. Hey Shep, stopping by to say hi. We'll catch up with you later in the video. Hey, cool man. Thanks for the message. I appreciate that. This is made with Notebook. I'm definitely gonna come back and say hi sometime, but appreciate the comment. I really do. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think you just subscribed. Okay, so we're gonna use Bolt.new. Why? Because I find Bolt to actually do a really good job of getting things set up, doing all the grunt work of like just setting up your basic structure, making sure that all of the Tailwind configuration and all that nonsense that has to be done, just to make sure that you could like just have usable web application, which by itself is work. Like these AI models and tools have made things very trivial to set these projects up, but the truth is that it takes a little bit of time. Okay, we're half an hour in. Where are we at? Let's go back to our AI design. Did we get a markdown language here? What are we saying? I created the HTML page that displays. Okay, so let's just go look at it. Is it an actual HTML? No, it's a TSX file, but okay, that's fine. We can use this, but replace the HTML with just markdown instead, or keep both. I just want to copy and paste the markdown also, but I'll take the HTML, so don't lose it. Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, great. Yeah. Style guide's coming through. It's going to be in Markdown. So again, we're going to jump back over to code. We got VZero going right now over here, generating foundation, right, for our thing. And then as soon as we get that, we're going to try to see if we could just push that into Cloudflare, so at least we have foundation. And that's going to be our first win. Okay, so style guide is coming. Where's Bolt 0? Bolt is still working through his details. Okay, so while all this magic is happening, let's just talk about like next steps and a couple other things all together. So how do I switch back to main camera? Main camera. So I gotta excuse me, I'm learning all of this stuff on the fly. Okay, so what are we doing? We've already talked about the fact that you have to know what you're doing, right? Like you when I say know what you're doing, you have to have an idea of what you're building to some degree, so that you could break things down into components. This is really crucial of a concept, and I'll actually show you visually what I mean by that. So let's say, for instance, that, okay, in our case, we're building a video platform. With any modern framework, you have to start thinking about, okay, like what are the pieces of that video component? So we have all the features. We got to break those features into individual parts. So we got the header, we got the side nav, we got the video player. We got to break those mentally into small parts, and then we have to physically separate that into those physical parts. And the reason why you want to do that is for a couple of reasons. Number one is it just makes really good reusable code. That's the first thing. But number two is that it allows you to focus on one very specific area. And that's critical also, because if you don't do that, you're going to end up with spaghetti code. The second reason is that for the AI, you want to really distill having it work on a very specific set of tasks. And that means breaking things into components. And I'm going to show you how to do that properly once we actually get some of this code generated. But that's basically what we're trying to do, right? So while all this stuff is generated, let's switch back here and let's see if we could, we're just gonna talk through those details while we're waiting for all this craziness to load. Where do I go? Jeez. Okay, hang on a second, guys. Bear with me here. Presentation. Which screen is that? Yeah, still learning. So, Vibe Coding 101. We got our style guide coming through here. Fantastic. Okay, that's great. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump back over to this section here. I'm trying to use this visual to keep us going. Let's do the blue for foundation. We're going to deal with this blue box and red box. In this PRD, and we're going to try to merge these together because now we have a style guide, SD, right? We have a style guide. We're going to take our PRD and we're going to try to combine it with the style guide to feed it into Sketch. Where's my pencil? Sorry, writing with my mouse. There we go. SKETCH. Okay, Google Sketch. Because Google Sketch, what our goal is to see if we could get pure HTML, because this is the ultimate. Okay, HTML. That's what we're trying to do. That's our mission. And then we're going to take that HTML, we're going to push it into the code section, because this allows us to get some control over things. So that's what we're going to do. I now have a style guide. Can you help me? Can you use this style guide along with the PRD to instruct a model that's going to, think about it, that's going to design a bunch of HTML pages like in Figma. Okay, so we're going to use that. We're going to paste the style guide, and then we're going to use this to build out a couple of things. Why am I on? I just realized I'm on 4.0, but that's fine. It's doing the auto thing. Okay, let's pull me back on camera here. Your UX designer, front-end architecture, use the following to generate HTML. Your context. Okay, so style guide, design, project requirements, output, screen, blah blah blah. Okay, and where's the style guide? Okay, so style guide. Oh, here it's a paste markdown version here. Okay, so let's do this. We're gonna take that. We're gonna bring it over to Google Sketch. You know what I should do actually? Let's do this because I want to make sure that you guys get this stuff as well too, so at least you understand what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this as a text file, so at least we could, because we want to keep these prompts for the future, right? So initial, let's call it prompts. Okay, and then text edit. Okay, we're going to take that, we're going to drop it into this, and then we're going to go back to this guy. We're going to copy this again, and then we're going to go back. Oops. Yeah, we're going to go back here, and we're going to paste that, see, paste style guide here. Bam. Okay, now we're going to take that, we're going to save it, and where are we going to put it? We're going to put it into this guy, AI projects, YouTube live, prompts, and we're going to say style guide. Okay, so this is going to be our prompt. We're going to take that, we're going to go into Sketch, and we're going to drop that in here. We won't do it, we're going to do a mobile for now. At least we got all the pieces inside of there. And then it gives us a good foundation, and let's see what it comes up with, because now we've given it some context in terms of what actual type of design that we want to actually put in place. So yeah, come on, let's cook. All right, So we'll see. We'll leave this, let it run, because Google Sketch will take a little time to build something. Let me see, make them all. Okay, so it's just asking me to design a comprehensive internal video sharing platform. We can start with the following screen, upload homepage, make them. Okay, we're just going to click on make them all and just let it just do its thing. Okay, so yeah, so Google Sketch will hopefully come up with a screen layout that works for me. And if not, at bare minimum, I can iterate on the UI while I'm not touching Lovable or VZero and asking it to generate code or any kind of stuff. I'm just focused on the UI, at least with Google Sketch. And it might not be the best, but at least I can iterate in terms of colors and features, etc. from that particular point, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so video uploader. Okay, all right, so while that's happening, again, we're doing multiple things at once here, but I just want to make sure that we have some foundation. How's VZero doing? Come on, what's going on? I'll set up a bold bin, I'll set up nothing. Perfect, your bare bones Nox application is finished. Where's the code? Okay, so public pages, index page, welcome to. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna connect it to YouTube Live Week 1. I want to give it the name that so we know exactly what we built. So let's do YouTube Live Week 1 video platform. Right, again, I'm making this public so you guys can actually just pull down the code and just build something. And by the way, in the future, I'm going to put a poll so you could vote for things that you want me to see me build. This way we could live. Great. Can we publish this now? So publish it to YouTube Live. Let's go across to my GitHub, go to repository. Okay, there's all the code there. That's fantastic. And we're just going to copy this, click on code, GitHub CLL. I'm assuming that you guys have some foundational knowledge on. So new terminal. And enter. Perfect. Okay, and then we're just going to take this prompt and we're just going to drop it back inside of here. So at least we have that, and then we're just going to delete this folder here, move to trash. Perfect. And also just going to do code. Okay, so we're in VS Code. What we're just going to do is now we're just going to go straight to Cloudflare one time, so you guys could actually check this out live right away. So let's do this. So here, actually let's run it first, npm install. Make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Hopefully that's big enough. So npm install, and just make sure that it's actually running, and then we're going to do npm run dev. Let's make sure it's actually working properly. Click on this, open up, and there. Okay, so we got a Nox application. Great. Fantastic. All right, so with that, let's get this bad boy into Cloudflare. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go to Cloudflare. And I'm going to go to Cloudflare, we're going to log in, we're going to open in a new app, and then I'm going to enable Zero, this technology here, just blur some stuff out. All right, there we go. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so we're in Cloudflare. So what we're going to do is we're going to name it the exact same name as we have on the YouTube, which is this guy, YouTube Live Week 1 video platform. Therefore, so we're going to create a new app. So I'm on Cloudflare Workers, create a new application. And what we're going to do is we're going to import from repository. Don't want to do the same. You want to do this guy and click on that and give it the exact same name, deploy, create. So at least we're going again straight to production, going all in a Nox plus Cloudflare stack. Great. Are you actually going to be going all in, or you're telling me that you're sorry, rephrase that question. Are you going all in because I'm influencing you, or you're going all in because you believe that it's the future? I'm just curious. But in either case, I think it's the way to go. Nox is an underrated platform. I think that React has gotten so much hype. Facebook has done a pretty good job marketing it. And then secondly, I think there's just a huge community around it. But I think the main reason is because second to Angular, when Angular was a thing in the past, people saw a lot of problems with Angular, and a lot of the corporate network jumped onto Angular to solve the problems, and React solved those issues. And my belief is that the corporate network took a hold of React and ran with it, and it was just enough to get the leading edge and become sort of they have first mover advantage, as we call it. As a result of that, while it was really revolutionary in the early days, there were some fundamental problems with it, in my opinion. And Nox Next, Vue.js solved those problems. Because at the end of the day, they still are using both virtual DOM and all this type of stuff under the hood. Evan, you just took a slightly different approach to the problem. my opinion, and solved it in a more elegant way. I'm in the Nux tribe. That being said, it's not a knock on Next.js. Next.js is a pretty good framework. So we got to build our build problem, and we're on Cloudflare right now. Cloudflare is failing. This is deliberate, by the way, because what's happening here? I connected my account to Cloudflare. Cloudflare tries to initiate a build, but it's looking for a Wrangler file and it doesn't find it. All right, it doesn't know what to do, so it just needs a little bit of help. So this is super simple. Don't even try to fix it. Literally just go back over to the local version, go to your VS Code. Actually, there's two things we need to do. You know what? Let me take a step back because I'm jumping a little bit here. All right, on VS Code, we just pulled down our application. We have the foundation of a working application. We just showed that we were able to run it and it's working properly. The next thing that you need to do is click on this little gear here and just click instructions. This is actually like such a little hidden thing. And then just click generate agent instructions. New file, generate agent instructions. And all that's going to do is going to literally just comb through the entire file. It's going to add a GitHub Copilot instructions file. I actually find the GitHub Copilot instructions file and the way how Copilot to be using it to be fairly consistent. Now this is no different. If you notice, they have agents that MD or clouded MD if you're using Cursor or whatever. It's the exact same principle. There's nothing here that's like super unique or special to the way how VS Code is doing it. It's the exact same concept. You need some sort of file that's overarching, that's going to give sort of overall instructions on how to actually build your entire application, and that's what the GitHub Copilot instructions is. So I'm just letting you know, put that in first, and then from there I'll show you the next step, which is basically to add the PRD, the task, and all the other things that we were building a while ago. We're going to drop it inside of there. All right, we're almost an hour in. I want to make sure that we actually deploy something, because we got to deploy, okay, within the hour. So I got less than 7 minutes to get this done. So we're going to push a little bit here and try to speed things up here, because I want to make sure that every hour we're increasing on complexity, we're increasing on like core foundational knowledge, and going from there. All right, come on. Okay, so with that, we're going to paste this error in, and this error is obviously from Cloudflare, and all we're doing is just feeding it the error to tell it, hey, we're going to be deploying to Cloudflare, so just put a Wrangler file and just set it up correctly so that we could do a deployment. That's all I'm doing, right? I'm just being lazy about it, right? So what is that's going to happen? That means that, I should even explain, what is a Wrangler file? So Wrangler is basically Cloudflare's, call it their config file, just so we have like a TS config for TypeScript config, or a Nux.config for Nux framework. This is their version of a config file, and they have this new format they call JSON-C, which is JSON with comments. I just recently found that out. And all that means is that you can put comments in the file, because apparently in JSON you can't put comments, but in this file you can. So that's what the JSON-C stands for. And it's basically just telling it what is the name of the file, what is the build directory. In other words, when you run npm build, it's going to compile the HTML, put it into this folder. Okay, no matter how complex these applications get, at the end of the day, all you're doing is just serving up a bunch of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because that's literally the only single thing that the internet runs on: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So all this TypeScript stuff, all of this package.json, none of this stuff really matters. All it's doing is just building to output HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. In this particular case, it's going to run it. It's going to put it in an output/public folder. And that's what you're doing with this file, is telling Cloudflare, hey, go look in this folder to get that HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, that's what we're doing there. So hopefully that makes some sense. And you see now it just puts this Nitro Cloudflare pages. So it's just telling the application how to build for Cloudflare. That's all we're doing. So we're going to stop this, Control C. We're going to do git add, git commit. Click over to the source control, click on this little button here. It'll put a nice comment in there. Click on commit, click on sync changes. Now push it up to the cloud. And yeah, from there, we should come back in here and we should be able to see, let's go back to Cloudflare. Come on, workers, YouTube live. Click on this guy here. What's going on here? Analytics. Okay, that's fine. Deployment in progress, right? Because it picked up my files again, because we have that all connected already. And yeah, we're going up. Okay, we're 3 minutes to go. We need to get this thing live. So discovered Cloudflare. Is there a way to put this up on the screen? Let's see if we could do that. I can star it. I don't know how to put your comment up on the screen. You said that you discovered Cloudflare from the Syntax podcast. Oh, nice. Those guys are fantastic, by the way. Been experimenting with it for a next side project. Love the combo so far, even if I'm still wrapping my head around all of their services. Yeah, no, for sure. Like Nux and Cloudflare, just going straight into that platform in itself and almost literally ignoring every single thing else with Cloudflare is it's a super fantastic entry point. Honestly, is the way that I started. And once I recognize the power, you just keep expanding. And I think that's like the way to go. Do you share your stream setup after you finish deploying? Do share your stream and setup. Yeah, sure. 100%. Yeah. But it's literally Ecamm Live is what I'm using. I literally, to give you an understanding of how new this is to me, I'm hour in. But this software is new to me as of before the stream 20 minutes ago. Because I was like, damn, I still haven't set up my streamers yet. What software can we use? I knew about it before. I was going to use OBS or whatever, but the truth is that it was just, I was like, I need something where I don't have to like fiddle with things. So do share your stream and setup. Okay, so let's see if this thing got deployed. Let's see what happened here. Come on, we got 1 more minute and we haven't deployed this yet. This is embarrassing. Okay, hang on. Is it live? Let's see. I'm seeing green. Yeah, no, it is green. So let's go check this link out. You guys should be able to hit this too. Nothing here yet. Oh, inactive. Why are we... 11 minutes ago, view build history, main. Okay, still got a problem. What's the problem? You can deploy this npx run pages. Okay, copy. Okay, figure out what the problem is. I see the build is working perfectly, Cloudflare preset, but we need to correct the Wrangler command. Okay, notice that the build output is in the dist folder. Okay, so we swapped the generating the files in the dist folder directory. So let me update in the Wrangler config, remove the output. Okay, that's fine. Slight little change there. They're just basically swapping from the output/public to the dist folder. Again, this is just nuanced little thing. I think Cloudflare just had that configuration. So we're just going to do that. We're going to click on this again. Okay, we're over time, but nonetheless, this will work. So we're at least within the hour of from basic deploy to things. Okay, so we're going to confirm this in a sec. I'm pretty certain that's going to go live. So let's go to where are we going? We need to go back to Stitch. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Hang on, let's just, you know what? I just want to make sure that Cloudflare is like solid. So let's just do this quickly. Make sure that Cloudflare is like rock solid. So deploy, overview, deployment. Did it not go up? Refresh, reload. Let's see if, yeah, we did commit and we did sync. Now, mind you, this button here, okay, let's see. We did commit and we did sync. So deployment, refresh. Interesting. It's only showing me 40 minutes ago. Okay, let's go see what's going on with GitHub because we want to make sure that this is actually working. So let's go back here. Let's just trigger another change just for the sake of making sure that we got this going because I want to make sure that we move forward with Cloudflare. Welcome to live stream. Guy, click on there. Click on save all and commit. Sync. Okay, maybe I didn't sync. Okay, so we did sync this time. Come on. Let's go. There we go. Okay. All right, so hopefully this should actually work for real this time and not like fake. Oh, you're the guy that asked for Nux Cloudflare video, so that's good. I appreciate you jumping on the stream. Yeah, but anyway, if you guys have other questions, feel free to ask them. I'm more than happy to answer questions as we go along. Live streaming is actually harder than it looks because it's like on one side you got to figure out, okay, what am I showing the user? On the other side you have to figure out, keep talking while there's like dead space, and then on the other side you got to figure out, like, is this thing actually working? Who's watching the live stream? So yeah, anyway, hopefully you're getting some value out of this. If you do, please subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to keep doing this every Friday. We're going to show up and we're going to keep building, but the goal is to make money here. Okay, so what didn't work this time? Hang on a second. It looks like you're running worker specific command. Wrangler, it literally built, but it's just a global networking thing. So we're just gonna just throw this back into let it figure it out. It's a waste of my time to figure out what the hell's going on here. So paste this in. There's this iterative loop that you have to think. So when you're doing this vibe coding stuff, you got to make sure that you solve one problem, move on to the next. One problem, move on to the next. One problem, move on to the next. Okay, that's why going back to our diagram, if I could pull it up, we're talking about this sort of like iterative approach where we're doing front end, but we're doing back end at the same time. So I'm breaking this entire ordeal into two separate parts. What am I trying to do? we've done sort of our PRD, which we're going to go back and do a review on for anybody that's just joining. And then 2 is we're doing the UI type of stuff. And while I'm doing that, I'm simultaneously, we use bolt.new to generate some code, right? We took that, we put it into VS Code all together, and then now we're just trying to get that into Cloudflare. So at least we could say, hey, we're publishing live right off the top. We got working code. So we know that those pieces are working. That's really important, right? Because if you do too many things at once, you're going to end up in a position where you just got a bunch of code that's mess, problems every single where you don't know what's working. It just becomes too much. And while we're doing that, we've also built out our UI. Now, I'm able to do all these pieces in tandem just because I'm able to track them and because I've done this 100 times before. So I have these pieces. But if you're starting out, do this one first, then go to the UI, do the UI, work through the UI details. You might have to iterate on the UI a couple times, which we're going to do in a bit. Just get it right. Get your HTML. So pass it into Sketch, get your HTML, make sure that this is good, and then jump to the back end and then do the deployment. I'm just forcing every single thing into one so I could like keep it crammed within an hour and we could keep moving, if that makes sense. Canadians all the way, 100%. That's awesome. That's good to hear. No, I'm not born and raised to the Torontonian, but been in Toronto for 20 years now, so this is home for me. Happy to see another Canadian around. Okay, let's go check out our Cloudflare, see what's going on. Okay, keep this. Do a commit here. Again, these are really small changes, but Cloudflare just needs this to get its deployment going. So let's push that up and make sure that Cloudflare is actually, sorry, I got the Cloudflare here. So go back here, go back to deployments, in progress, fantastic, 21 seconds. So we're 8 minutes over schedule. This should have been deployed, but you guys get the idea. Like we got all of the pieces in place. This should hopefully build now. If not, we're probably one off from just like tweaking this, and then at least we should have a page actually working on the dev thing, and then we're going to go from there. By the way, just as a side note, if you have your DNS, oh my goodness, another error again. What do we have here? And you know what's crazy? I could fix this in 2 minutes if I just think, but I want to make sure that we're sticking to the concept of vibe coding. The following package was not found, Wrangler npm. So interestingly enough, the build is working, it's just the deployment is things. So let's just push that back into Cloudflare, into VS Code. This is slowing me down a little bit here, but nevertheless, it's like the lay of the land with vibe coding, right? Same error persistent. The problem is that your deployment platform is still configured to run Nux deployment instead of using Cloudflare pages, deployment, blah, blah, blah. Wrangler. Yeah, I think you're guessing here, buddy. So you know what we might just do, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. If this fails, we're gonna do a direct push from my computer to Cloudflare just to move things forward, and then we'll come back to the CI build afterwards. Okay, I like to get the CI build going because once you get that out of the way, then you don't have to think about that anymore. You know that if you just check in code, it's just gonna go to production, or at least to an environment, because it'll do both main. Actually, let me just talk about that a little bit. So when you push in code to GitHub, right now I'm on the main branch, but there was a checkbox in there that says that it will do non-production branches. So build watch, and it's watching all of the different branches. There was a checkbox when we set things up for it to check for non-production branches, which means that whenever we switch over to our dev branch and we push into dev, Cloudflare will automatically give us a URL so we could test on dev. So you don't have to always push to main all the time. I'm just pushing to main right now because I want to get this thing up and running. What am I missing here? It looks like you're running a worker specific page project. There's still some confusion, honestly, and I don't think this is 100% for thing. There's a little bit of confusion between the workers and the pages where the commands are still mixed up and the LLMs don't necessarily probably have the latest. So we're going to say, can you run the command locally and do a deployment for me? Okay, just so we don't have to waste time, we just keep pushing it up to Cloudflare all the time. So what it's going to do is just going to run npm run build, and it's just going to do a Wrangler deploy, and that's going to just shove it straight into Cloudflare without having to go through like the whole GitHub thing. Okay, we've got another question here. Let me just see if we could put this up on the screen so everybody can read it. So for full stack application, it is recommended to complete the front end first and then work on the back end. Let me tell you how I approach things. So this Wrangler deploy should work, but let's talk about that for a bit. Okay, let me pull up that page not found. Let me pull up this guy here, and let's go to this, and we're going to create a new whiteboard. Actually, let's do that. I take that back. Let me just do this. Let me duplicate this because we're going to need this again. And we're going to think. But this is actually a really good question that you're asking. Yeah. So here's how I think about things altogether. First of all, I'm a very visual person. I'm a super visual person. It's how I learn things. If you can't show it to me, I probably won't learn it. I hate reading. In fact, I have dyslexia. So reading is not my strong strength, okay? But you show me visual, you show me on a video, I could watch it at 2 times the speed and I could capture the information. I'm just a visual learner, okay? So you have to know your speed. So to answer your question specifically now, because you're doing vibe coding, right? There's like multiple things that you have to do, right? Like for any application, let's just start with the basics. For any application, you need a database. We know this, okay? So some place to store your information. If it's not a database, it's some sort of blob storage, okay? So this is storage. This is your storage layer. In order for you to get the storage, you need to have some kind of data structure, okay? So that data structure determines how you store that information. Think of data structure in the simple world as just like a folder, right? If you're going to save data on your computer, you need to have it in some sort of a folder. So with that data structure, it means you really have to sit down and you have to think about it quite a bit. The problem with doing that is, in my opinion, again, this is subjective opinion here, but in my opinion, it takes away from what you're like the experience, the user experience. So for me, what I tend to do, and this is not for everything, like if I'm doing like a really large, super complex application, I'll try to work through the data structure parts first. However, of recent, because we're in the vibe coding world and because we're doing AI, it's actually significantly better for me to focus on the UI first, because what do I care about? At the end of the day, I care about the human experience, right? The person that's going to actually use the application, I care about what they see first. So what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to think through, is this application have the right feel? Does it have the right look and feel in terms of color and design and whatever the case is, but more importantly, functionality. Because I know that if I could get through the functionality, I could have a working proof of concept. Then number one, I have a couple benefits. Number one is I actually pass it around to like my friends and get feedback. So you get some really quick wins with just focusing on the UI. If you did it on the back end, nobody cares about your data. Nobody cares about it. In fact, nobody cares about your technology that you built your application in. Nobody cares where the information is being stored unless you're dealing with GDPR compliance. Nobody really cares about the underlying complexity. All they care about is the user experience and is this thing going to solve my problem? So for me, I solve that first. Okay, dealing with this stuff on the back end is super complex. My recommendation is you have to think about this, but don't think about this at the start. Focus on the UX, focus on the UI, get that out of the way, understand what is it that you're building. If you have a document that's following along with your UI, which we're going to talk about, the PRD document, right? If you have that and you have like your data, your rough data structure, you can start faking the backend by putting fake data, okay? And the AI is really good at just helping you to generate this fake data to create like a fake experience. So that further allows you to model the data. That's basically what I'm getting at here. By building the UI first, it allows you to come up with the model of how MODEL of the data structure in the backend. And that's the sort of the important part of this entire experience, which is if you can model the data, then honestly, to push it into a database or a data structure becomes trivial. Now, in between here, you need an API that's going to basically pull that data. So in between the model and the backend, you need some sort of API, okay? API. But if you have the model, because the model was formed off of the fake data, you're far more likely, in my opinion, to get the data structure right. Because one of the hardest problems with computer application development is that you spend a whole bunch of time building a model, and then next thing you know, you realize that your users use the application in a completely different way, and then you're forced to change the underlying data structure. And this actually is a really big problem with like really large projects. So to mitigate that problem, at least in the vibe coding world, from my experience, you're better off starting with the UI, figure that out, figure out how it should look, figure out like the flow of the information, use that to trigger the AI to give you a data structure, and then use that to figure out where to save it, right? Because at the end of the day, nobody cares where you're actually saving the data as long as it's fast, right? So that would be the approach. For full stack applications, recommended to complete the front end first and then work on the back end. Yes, so hopefully I answered that question. All right, get that out of the way. Man, I appreciate you guys like even just hanging out here and just asking questions. I'm a visual builder. Most of the times I've been fortunate to work with projects where the design was laid out completely. Yeah, then it's easily built to front end. along with the backend. Yeah, 100%. The visual does really help. If you have a larger team, so the guys would be working on the front end, the guys would be working on the back end at the same time, and then you merge them together. In the vibe coding world, it's one person or maybe two people, right? So doing that exact same sort of thing where it's get the UI and then go with the back end is thing. And again, for me, because we're on a live stream here, I'm trying to fast track every single thing by doing both the back end and the front end at the exact same time. And I'm just like in parallel doing this stuff. Now, we'll figure out whether that's a good approach or not, right? Do we have a live application? We still don't. Okay, for whatever reason, let's go check on our Visual VS Code here. We got to make some progress here, guys. We got to get this thing up live. What's going on here? What are you waiting? Oh, sorry, it's waiting on my input. Great. So let me just explain what's going on here. YouTube live video platform. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, create new use it. Actually, so it's just asking me because I'm deploying directly from my computer. It's just asking me if I want to use an existing project or not. And I'm just gonna put use an existing project, and then I got all my projects inside of here. Now of course it's gonna let me scroll through every single one of them. Okay, it's not showing me the one that I want. Create a new project, enter, cancel, create a new project. Yeah, okay, great, showing off my keys and every single thing. Hang on a second, let's just do this first. So we're gonna do create new project. I'm gonna give it a name. Would you like to create it? Yes. And okay, there we go. It's going up. Okay, so we're just bypassing the. Okay, there we go. Fantastic. Open live. Okay, so that'll take a while. That's all that's happening here is the DNS is just populating. That's basically what's going on here. So give it a second, and it'll show up actually live, and then at least we know that we got something. At least we know that we got something to work with. Now, where did it put it? Did it put it in a different? No, it's same thing. Okay, yeah, YouTube live week 1. To this guy here. So I think it's the same. Let's do this. YouTube live platform. This one I want to see. This one, because that's the one that we're working on. There we go. Fantastic. Only took us 20 minutes to get this thing going. All right. So now that we have this, okay. And again, the only reason I'm doing this is just because I want to make sure that I'm able to see my changes as I go about, right? And you guys can hit this URL if you want. So with that, now I still have to go back and fix my CI problem, which is not a big deal. It's actually a really small problem. I just don't want to spend the time on it. As soon as we start checking in, we're going to let that kind of run in the background to fix the problem. In theory, that should actually solve it, but we'll see. We'll find out. Okay, let's back up a little bit. We got our deployment going here. Great. We got our basic code. At least we got all our foundational software thing. Now we got to bring in this PRD and this UX into the backend code, so at least we got some structure. So there's a couple things that we're going to do. Number one is we're going to start with the PRD first, and then we're going to come back to the UI in a sec. Okay, so let's go back to our initial PRD. The PRD is project requirements document. So we just had a conversation with the AI, talked through it. We got this document here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to VS Code. I'm going to copy that. We're going to create a folder, and we're going to call it docs. This is where I like to put my stuff, and then I'm going to call it new doc, project requirements document, doc md. Okay, so we're going to paste that inside of here. So that's one. Now we need this MVP file. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to create a new chat section. GitHub knows about the VS Code knows about my Copilot instructions file, but my Copilot instruction file is pretty vague right now. So what I really want to do is I want to link my Copilot instruction files to my PRD and to my task list, because that's important. Okay, so what I'm going to tell it is I'm going to say, can you take this task list and create a task list under the docs folder, and then link both my task list and my project requirements documents into my GitHub Copilot instructions file. Hey, can you take my PRD document and this task list that I'm going to give you and connect it with my GitHub Copilot instructions and make sure that they're linked, so that any single time you're using the prompt, you're referencing the PRD and the task list properly. Okay, and then we're going to paste the task list inside of there and then create it. So it'll create a, you know what, I forgot to tell it to put it in the right folder, but it should do it perfectly fine. Again, just to back up, make sure everybody's on the same page here, what we're trying to accomplish. Actually, let's go here and let's go here and let's do this. So what are we trying to do? We want to make sure, so we got our, let's call it our instructions. Okay, this is our instructions file. This instruction file, by the way, if you're using Cursor or any of the other MD, this could be Claude.md, or this could be agents.md. It doesn't matter. It's just your instructions file, okay? And then all I'm doing is just telling it, hey, I got a slash docs folder, okay? My slash docs folder has all the details for my PRD. It has my task list, okay? And it has my style guide. This is the one that most people I see don't even put inside of there, which is the style guide. Why is style guide? Because if I'm going to keep iterating on VS Code level, I need to make sure that the application has some way of knowing what kind of style I want things to look like, right? So it doesn't go off and just do things on its own. That's the key. And I've noticed that most people, even SpecKit and some of the other frameworks that are doing this sort of spec-driven development, they don't necessarily talk about style guides, but that's important because you want it to be consistent with the UI. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put another folder /HTML, and we're going to pull down those files from Google Sketch in a bit. We're going to drop it in here, and we're going to tell it about those files. So we're going to tell it any single time you need a design to create components, use my HTML, because I've already figured out what it should look like. So I don't want you to be like trying to come up with new stuff on your own. Just use my HTML, and then maybe you got to add a button here or two. But that's the principle. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Let's do this. So let's do, where are we at? We don't need bolt anymore. We're going to kill that. This here, sure, we'll keep it around because I think it, maybe, let me see if the build actually went through this time. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, it did fix it, the build this time. Oh no, that might be a deployment. I'm just curious. Let me just see if the build is working. So keep this. Let's just do a commit. Oh, did it actually create the task list? No, it didn't. Okay, so hang on. Let me just tell it to create it, make sure that it actually puts my task in there. So go back, copy the task list. Under docs folder, create a task list, and then link it to the GitHub Co-Pilot instructions. Okay, let's say with the following tasks. So this is the instructions. This is the PRD. PRD does not have. So I'll create a dedicated task list document with the front, right? Okay, yeah. So here we go. So we got an MVP task list. Okay, now here's the other thing. We gotta really think about this. The other thing that is super important is whenever you do your prompt in, GitHub will automatically bring this instructions file in. It's also, because it's reference, it's going to bring in your PRD and it's going to bring in your task list. Okay. What you want to do is you want to tell it that any single time you make a change, you want to make sure that you update the task list. It's not our responsibility to update the task list. It's the AI's responsibility to update the task. So we want to make sure that it's updating that task. Why? Because whenever it comes around again to feed all that information in, it's going to at least be able to keep track of what was already done. And that's super important because this is essentially memory, right? You're creating fake memory for the AI to be able to keep track of its progress. Super important. So once we get this task list here, now it has a reference. So it took away all that information. Okay, that's fine. It has a reference to the task list. It should also have a reference to the MPRD. There's a PRD here. Okay, fantastic. We want to make sure now, so we're going to tell it, can you add some instructions so that every single time you run an update and you make changes, that you also ensure that you update the task list or add any of the changes that you make to the task list, and also add a subfolder in the docs that outlines those changes in detail so that we have reference of them for the future. Okay. So again, this is super important because what we're doing is we're really building up context to make sure that it doesn't forget the things that it already did before, because that's basically the problem, right? We're going to add our task list, and then we're going to make sure that for every single thing that it does, it's going to document it accordingly. And we're going to have it reference so that it keeps building up the memory. Okay. All right. Moving forward. So let's go back to our design for a second here. Let's pull this style guide here, copy it. And we're just going to do this manually while it's doing some work here. So we're just going to create a new file, guide.md. Okay. And I'm just going to paste this style guide in here. So at least we have like the general style guide, and we're going to update. We're going to tell it to use this style guide instead of the one that it was using, which is a prompt one, because we don't need the prompts anymore. Okay, good. So now that we have that, let's go see what this bad boy has created for us. And again, by the way, you guys can go fork this branch, like I said before. We're going to try to ship real code, real production stuff, and we're just going to give it away, because that's what we're about on this channel. Give it away so that people can go make money. Okay, so stream, it's called Streamline. Okay, I like that. That's cool. So we could put a title, we could put a description, we could put an uploaded file. That's great. And yeah, you know what? I like the design. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. I got a drop down menu here. I could filter by a couple of things here. I don't know if I need to change much. I got to log in. I got to search. Why do I need a search up here and a search down here? I don't need two search. So we're going to get rid of that one search. So what am I missing? Interesting. Let's zoom out a little bit. So if you notice, it has the menu on one side here. Then it has the title on one side. Then it has the menu. The menu is all over the place. We got to fix that. See, this is something that you'd have to vibe code. Now I can just focus on the UI and just get all of this crap sorted out. For some strange reason, the menu is inconsistent. Can you standardize on all the menu? Ensure that the logo is always in the top left-hand corner. Then have the menu items. Ensure that the profile picture and the other stuff is on the right-hand side. And keep the notification bell. Remove the search at the very top of the page. Actually, you know what? Keep the search at the very top of the page, just center it in the middle, make it a little bit wider. And then give me an orange button for the upload video. Yeah, all right. So we got visuals, and again, not using any code. We are technically, because this is going to generate HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But the point is, I can iterate on the UI. I could get this thing honed in properly. I could figure out what's going to work for me. I could play around with it. You see here, it does have the share button, so you can share it. Let's see, delete design, download all, share all. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I can help you. Please tell me the title. Tell me the title of the screen you'd like to edit first and apply the menu. You need to change all of them. So keep the streamline and the logo, the name of the company, but you need to fix it for all of them, all of the screens. Yeah, let's start with upload screen. I will standardize menu. Would you like me to proceed? Yes. Proceed with everything. Do not ask me any more questions until you're finished with my work, please. Thank you. You got to be nice to the AI. Always say thank you. You never know when they're going to come and take over our entire life. But yeah, so anyway, so hopefully you guys are getting some value. Like I said, we're jumping through multiple different hoops. We're in 2.5 hours here, and we got at least a basic application, but that's about it, right? We're going to try to push a little bit more on the front end. Okay, I like this. This is looking pretty good. From a UI standpoint, it has the nice orange button, search at the top. That's great. So yeah, doing exactly what I'm asking it to do. It's just generating the screen. But yeah, so far, like, that actually looks good to me. What else we got here going on at the exact same time? So we got our style guide. So we're actually okay with VZero. We don't need 0 anymore. We got our task list, so we're good with that. AI-driven instructions. So, and then we're good with this. So let's see. I'm curious if Cloudflare got its act together and got my latest build going. Let's see. 17 minutes ago. So nothing else got changed since then. Interesting. Did we not do a push-in or commit? No, we didn't. Okay, let's see if Cloudflare actually got its act together and it will actually take these changes now. So wait for it. So let's see if it actually just kicks in. Come on. So you know what? I think the settings got removed. It might have gotten disconnected from the build. Let's see. Bindings. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so interesting. So something, create a deployment. Okay, you know what? I think it reverted back to the original way. It's not connected to the GitHub anymore. Bindings, general. Yeah, okay. We're going to figure that out later on. It's not actually connected to the GitHub anymore for some reason. It just got disconnected. But that's okay. We know how to push to production. We're going to deal with that later on. Deploy site to production, preview, select and drag across from a computer. Yeah, for some reason that's weird. I've never seen that before. Okay, so it's not connected to my GitHub anymore. That's fine. Wonder why that's the case. Oh, branch here. Rename branch. Production branch. Rename. Where's the connect button? Doesn't show me. Doesn't even have a build here. Preview. Ah, okay. Well, strange. There's been some mergers between pages and workers, and there's a little bit of confusion there. So this stuff is trivial. We'll get this going at some point. What else we got? Okay, so let's go back to Google Sketch, make sure that they've done their part. And then we're going to try to bring this Google Sketch. So it only did one page. Let me see. Is it asking me for a thing? I've updated 2 key aspects. Oh, okay. Actually, no, it did all the pages. I take that back. Let me be sure. So menu, that's consistent. Yeah, it's all over the place though. It only did it on one, right? Now I got a couple of options here. I could tell it to do, let's see. Can you fix all of the navigation bars? It's all over the place. It's inconsistent. It's not very good at keeping track of all of the things across all of the different pages. That being said though, it's not the end of the world, because what we can do is we can bring this into HTML and we could change that component on our own. My point is you can play around with this from a UI standpoint to get it to where I just created my own YouTube. Now all I need to do is muster the courage to do a live stream recording content, face blue smiling. That's funny. Listen, man, you go all the way. Let me say this. I'm going to talk about this question while we wait on some of this code here. Okay. First of all, YouTube, you're 100% right. I wouldn't say it's not easy. It's pretty easy. Like it's just press a button, put on a camera and thing. Now, obviously there's some technical setup and stuff like that, but let's get rid of that. When I started, I'm going to give you a little story. I like stories. I like to give people background on my journey and stuff like that. When I started this, I appreciate that you're telling me that I'm doing pretty well on the live stream. Even though it's my first live stream, I do have some experience with talking in general, maybe on camera and stuff like that. But I'll give you the backstory so you can understand. When I came to Canada, a long time ago, 20 years ago, I went to Toronto and I remember going to a couple of events, like startup events and stuff. And the way how I would describe myself was that I was like Alice in Wonderland. I don't know what to do. I had a drink in my hand. I was just drinking there the whole way. And somebody took a picture of the event. And it was like from higher up, almost like a drone shot, but it wasn't a drone. It was like just a photographer. And some strange reason, I was in the middle of this room, 100% standing alone, talking to nobody. And I remember what that feeling was like. And it really did not sit well with me. I was like, I got to do something about this. I didn't know what I needed to do. I just know that I needed to not do that again, ever. I ended up looking around and I found a Toastmaster group. If you've never heard of Toastmaster, go look it up. If you're public speaking is not your thing or any of that kind of stuff, go look it up. Basically what Toastmaster is, it's a safe group that just focuses on just helping you to improve your speech, delivery, etc. And I went and I Googled and I found the shyness workshop. It was literally a shyness workshop for people that were like shy. And I went there and I learned a whole bunch of stuff about how to speak and how to not use ums and ahs and stuff, which I still do today, by the way, just to be clear. But over time, just going up and talking on the stage, they start you out with a 1-minute speech. You do a 3-minute speech, and your first real speech is like a 4-minute speech, and you move your way up. I remember when I did my first speech, okay, after 6 months or something. I kid you not, I went back to my desk, I sat down, and my foot, it was like this. It just kept trembling. It wouldn't stop. It just kept going. I swear on my life. And I took the TTC home. And I kid you not, an hour later, I still had the tremors. But I was 100% determined that I was going to figure out how to at least maneuver in the public space. And so that's what I did. So I now have some bearings on at least how to at least have a conversation in public. And then the pandemic happened, obviously everybody was thinking we had to move the Toastmaster online. And because of that, because it was the same group, I learned how to talk to the camera because you have to do presentations and stuff, and I just did it. So my point is that join the Toastmaster group, look for a local Toastmaster group, and it'll help you to get over that fear. The truth is the fear never goes away. It really never goes away. But it's super important that you at least have an idea on how to work towards improving yourself. And that's what Toastmaster did for me. Yeah. By all means, do that. But at the end of the day, you just got to practice, right? No different than me being on a live stream right now, jumping on a live stream and just, hey, let's just do this. We're going to figure this out. 20 minutes before I figured out how to use this software, and now we're on a live stream broadcasting to the world, or 7 people in this case. But yeah, you just got to go with it. You just got to roll with the punches. So hopefully that helps you out. Okay, let's move forward a little bit here. We got it, like I said, guys, our goal here is to build shippable code that we could sell. Okay, interestingly enough, here's the thing that Sketch is doing, is that it's giving me new versions and not getting rid of the old version. We'll take it. Okay, we're not going to complain. We're going to take it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this guy, and then we don't want this one here, so I'm going to delete this one. We're going to take these 3, right? I got my button, I got my uploader page, and I got one screen. That's enough for me to go with the flow here. Where's the export again? Damn it. File, download all. There we go. So we're going to download that. We're going to bring that here. We're going to open this up. So we got these HTML, right? Which is what we care about. Okay. So I'm going to take that now, these three guys here. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to go back into my project. We're in the right one. And then we're going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it HTML. Okay. And we're just going to dump those guys in there. Okay. Because I'm going to use it now. I'm going to go back to VS Code. I'm going to tell it, hey, any single time you need to do designs, we're going to use these screens. So let's submit this. That's fine. I'm going to close this. We're going to go back here. We're going to go to close these guys off. And then we got our HTML screen. So I'm just going to tell it now. Okay. So we're going to say, first of all, I need to make sure that it knows about the HTML screen. So we're going to click on this little icon here. We're going to add all of their files. I'm going to click on this guy. And I want to make sure that it says all open editor files. So all the files in the editor, I just want to make sure thing. So I'm going to tell it to make sure that the PRD reference these files and the GitHub Co-Pilot instructions reference these files for design going forward. Okay. Hey, I just dropped a bunch of HTML. They're in their respective folder. You're going to rename the HTML correctly and then make sure that you update the GitHub Co-Pilot instructions to use these HTML going forward to build out the rest of the design. In other words, any single time you need design, you're going to reference these HTML for that design work. But we also need to convert these HTML into actual Vue components and then restructure the entire application into components. Do not repeat code. Use the dry principle, DRY, so that we don't repeat the code, and make sure that every single thing is in small modular component. Okay, so create a layouts folder, a templates folder for layout, and then make sure that we only have one piece of each component and compose the entire thing. Make sure that the entire thing works. There we go. Bam. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to jump into the question in a bit so at least everybody's on the same page. Okay. So I have code. Okay. I also have a design. Design is almost done, more or less, right? I coded this here, so I'm not going too granular, but I'm pushing on the design. Obviously, if you're building a larger application, you would spend more time building out all the pages. Google Sketch is by far, at least at this particular point, the best approach that I've found for this. Why? Because at bare minimum, I can iterate on the design. There's an alternative to Google Sketch, by the way, which is Figma. And in Figma, you can do exactly what I'm doing with Google Sketch. The problem that I find, and I think I talk about this in one of my videos, but the problem that I found with it is that it was still forcing me into Nox.js land, right? The good thing about Sketch is that, or Stitch, I'm sorry, I keep saying Sketch. It's not Sketch, it's Google Stitch. Google had a protocol, Sketch. The good thing about this is that it's giving me pure HTML and CSS, and that's the key. Up until this tool came about, this was a hard thing to do properly, but because we have the actual HTML, CSS, JavaScript, none of this whole TSX and all this React stuff, we can build. So even if you're a PHP developer or any other developer, all of the principles that I talked about so far can work for you, right? This is platform agnostic. And then you could go forward a little bit more. So now, yeah, so see, it's going to create me an app logo. It's going to create me a navigation bar. It's going to put a search component, right? It's going to try to break up the HTML into smaller components so that I could use it and build things out properly, right? Which is what the key is. Let the algorithm do their thing. As this is a super small channel, we're like brand new to the internet here, so we need all the love and support and thumbs up and any other stuff that you can just to push things forward. So that would be really appreciated. So what does the hashtag #1 mean? Oh, top fans, is that what it is? Sorry, I'm just learning all the YouTube stuff. Okay, any plans of creating a Discord server so that we can discuss vibe coding through the week and can cover those points if it requires more exploration, live streaming about it? Yeah, okay, so this is, hey, I appreciate your question. This is something I'm thinking about. I'm busy, okay? I'm like really busy. So I find Discord to be extremely annoying. I have like a bunch of Discord chat. I don't even go in there because it's just too much noise in my head. That being said though, it might make sense for me to create a Discord community for this live streaming so you guys could chat amongst yourself kind of deal. But here's my problem. I don't want to commit to something that I can't be 100% in on. And I just know how my brain works. Discord is not it for me. It's so annoying. I have by default all of my WhatsApp messages, whatever it is, they're all on mute because it just clouds up my brain on a daily basis. That being said though, I'm 100% committed to helping you guys throughout your journey with the vibe coding platform or whatever the deal is, right? Like we're doing entry level stuff right now. We're going to keep going more advanced. And what I'm hoping is that you guys could go off, do your own thing during the week. And then when you come back on Friday, right? Like you could come bring your questions and we can talk about it and answer them type of thing. Now, being 100% totally transparent with you, I'm also planning to do a paid membership for stuff later on in the future. I don't know when I'm going to do this. So at some point I will do that, because then at least I know that the people that are in that group are serious and helping to support me while I do this stuff. Because when I'm doing this, I'm not programming, I'm not doing anything else. I'm doing it for the love of it, and in the future maybe we'll make some money. But it takes a lot of energy and time. So what I'm thinking about doing in the future is having a group that's a little bit more concrete that might be paid. That being said though, what I'm committed to right now, just right now, is every week we're going to show up every Friday, and if there's 100 questions, we're going to go through them and we're going to answer every single one of them, and we're going to try to give as much value as I possibly can, because I know that my brain is on it. And then I'm going to try to figure out what to do with the group situation outside of that, if that makes sense. Hopefully that kind of gives you some idea, right? I want to be real with you guys, because I'm not out here trying to sell snake oil. That's number one, okay? And number two is, if I'm going to commit to something, I want to give it 100%. And right now, Discord does not get 100% of my brain power at all in any single way. So that's the reluctance there. But bring the questions, keep the community going. We're going to do these type of live stuff, and then we're going to figure things out from there. Hopefully that makes sense, right? Yeah. Okay, hey, we got 9 people. Look at that. If we get one more person, we're going to have 10 people on the live stream. And you know what? I am so happy for that, because that's my first ever live stream. And I got 10 people to show up and be like, hey, man, I'm happy to listen to what the hell you're talking about, even though you're rambling. I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys. Yeah. And some of you guys are in different time zones too, which is crazy. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Sivakumar. Okay, so I probably butchered your name pretty bad, but hey, I think you're in the Philippines, because I think I saw one of your comments on one of my videos. So whatever the time frame is, I appreciate you sticking around. Okay, let's see what we got for the Visual Studio. Let's see where we're at here. Keep. Okay, so while I'm actually going through this, a couple things. I'm making some assumptions here that you guys have used Visual Studio before, you know some things or what the deal is. Listen, we could have a debate about whether Cursor is better, whether VS Code is better, or whatever the case is. Here's what I'll tell you. I don't actually care what you use. Just use something and stick with it. Don't be jumping around on tools. Okay. However, in my opinion, you have to stick to one tool and just really master it. If you don't master the tool and you keep jumping around, you'll never be able to truly know whether you're making progress or not. So that's number one. The second thing is that this whole thing is vibes. It's called vibes for a reason. You have to vibe with the application. If you can't vibe with it, then you can't get a good feel for it. And if you can't get a good feel for it, then you can't intuitively know whether you're making progress or not, if that makes sense, right? Now, it's not, I want to be clear with this. The documentation, the PRD, all that kind of stuff that we're doing is to kind of keep the model on track. But in my opinion, if you're going to do this, there's some level of intuition that you have to develop. And you can't develop that intuition if you keep jumping around to different tools, because you'll never be able to go deep, if that makes sense, right? So my encouragement to you guys is stick with one tool and go deep. Now, experiment by all means, but so far, in terms of like value, VS Code is it for me, okay? I have Cursor in my system. I have Wrangler in my system. I have Claude Code. I have Codex. I got Kiro, you name it, okay? I got it on my system. But VS Code is where I'm at every single day doing real production application. Outside of VS Code, the main version, the only other tool that I spend time on is VS Code Insider Edition, which is the nightly build of VS Code. And the reason why I do that is because I get the latest and greatest of what they're doing in terms of like their tool, and I use that to compare how the production version is with what they're doing. They got some cool things coming out there. So that's the reason why I switched to that. But outside of that, like that's what I do. Now notice here, see here, we're just going to tongue, right? We got a file drag and drop. We got an upload form. We got an avatar. We got a VS Code file. I'm just like chatting with you guys and like we're building stuff. I'm not like, oh, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Like I haven't even written any single actual code implementation, right? I'm just building up structure. And that's the key that I want to make sure that you guys get out of this area. It's like there's a lot of planning. There's a lot of upfront planning in getting structure. And that's really cool. I started my programming career with Notepad, Sublime. Oh, okay, so you're a veteran. Are you a programmer? Human only? Are you like a actual programmer? I'm just curious because first of all, if you're going with Notepad plus Sublime, you've obviously been around Atom Editor, then VS Code, and now the Insider. So you've clearly been around. What's your tech stack? I'm curious. Oh, 8 watching now. Okay, we dropped some points. We're not entertaining enough. Okay, so we got, where are we? Where are we now? Let's just double check here. So is this running? Are we up and running here? Okay, let's close this and let's do npm build run dev. See if we got an actual working application here. Okay, so we got a problem. Did I copy that? No, probably not. So a couple of basic stuff, but nothing too crazy here. So we're just going to try and see if we can run it. Okay, so you're a programmer. Okay, cool. Are you front-end developer? Oh, you did mention that you normally get designs from guys. So you must be back-end related. Like, what's your primary tech stack? Are you JavaScript? Are you C#? What's your go-to language? Nux, let me fix the Nux configuration, handle. Okay, yeah, so we just got a little bit of work here and hopefully we could get at least something spin up. Then we're going to try to push the latest version to Cloudflare again, and then at least we know we have structure. While we're doing this, hello guys, wanted to connect but was busy. Hey Raman, welcome. Don't worry, you're good. The good news is live streams are live and they're recorded, so you could go back and watch the whole thing. But I'm happy that you jumped in. So you're full stack, Node, JSS, TSS, Vue, Nux. Okay, so you're solid, man. Hopefully I'm bringing some value to you and hopefully you're getting some insights on how to do this a little bit better. But by all means, please correct me. Add some comments to the chat about how you would do it differently. Like I want to make sure that everybody understands. I am not the expert here, okay? I just happen to start a YouTube channel to share what I'm learning. That's it, okay? So I don't know everything. I definitely haven't tried every single thing. You guys bring your experience, bring your ideas, and let's figure this stuff out together. But all in all, I'm happy to know that I got some actual programmers hanging with me on a Friday afternoon. Ramon, welcome. I'm happy that you joined. All good that you're busy. Like I said, we got 1 more hour to go, so we're 3:07. So just to get you caught up, I'm going to just give you an express just for the sake of while we wait on some of the stuff to run through. So basically what we did is we had a chat with ChatGPT via phone, tell it what we're doing. It's like, hey, so I'm trying to do a live vibe coding session. We're going to be doing some stuff. I even brainstormed on what is it that we're going to do. We came up with some ideas. We decided that we're going to build sort of an uploader MVP. So basically it's a streaming service. And then from there, I got it to develop a PRD document, project requirements document, just so it could get the basics. Got it to come up with an overview and give me a checklist. We got that checklist. We got some details of the different features of what we're going to be building. Then I told it to come up with a style guide. We went over to VZero. I don't have it open right now, but we went over to VZero. We got VZero to come up with a style guide because VZero is just really good at design. So we just got VZero to give me that. And all it did was it gave me a document and a style guide. We took those style guide, we dropped it into Stitch, and we came up with a design that we played around with, and I gave it some instructions and it somewhat got it right. It's not 100%, like this screen here is not perfect, but it's good enough for what we want. And with Stitch, what we're doing is we're getting the HTML. Okay, so that's the key. Once we got the HTML, now we're going to go across into bringing all that into code. And from here, we just literally, just this second, got all of that code into a working prototype now that I could, let's bring it up over here now. So yeah, so this is it. So this is our vibe coded app. It doesn't look as much, interestingly enough. It didn't bring in my color scheme and it also didn't bring in my interactivity and it didn't bring me things. So I want to make sure that it actually tell it to, can you make sure that the pages are linked together? And also I'm noticing that my color theme was a dark theme and yours is white. So make sure that you pull in all of the design language from the HTML. Okay. So we got all of that exported as the sketch, just to go back, keep you up to date here, Ramon. So we took all that HTML, we brought it in as an HTML set of thing here. We're using that as reference. And now what we're doing is we're basically creating components from there. So we got a bunch of components that were created from the HTML. So at least that we have all the pieces in place and we have some structure to the entire application. And we also have, what else we got so far? We got a docs folder with the PRD and all the other stuff. And then we deployed it to Cloudflare. So that's it. That's all we did so far. Not as much. We got 1 more hour, so we're going to try to keep pushing a little bit more and see if we could get some of the database stuff going. We don't know how far we're going to get because we only got another 45 minutes here. But yeah, hopefully it's well pronounced. Okay, good. Because I got dyslexia, man. So I'm terrible at names. So yeah, by the way, that goes for everybody. If I'm mispronouncing your name, I apologize. Cool that you use a lot of tools to get the overall understanding of what you'll be building. Yeah, so like I said, up until this point, every single thing that I've done so far, you can translate it to almost any language, right? And that's the kind of approach that I'm taking to coding just in general, because like I said, not everybody is a Next developer. That's number one. I did a video on that. If you haven't watched it, watch it. But number two is that not everybody is even a JavaScript developer. But if you're going to build out an application, at least you could code the front and then you could pair that onto a backend. And the good news is that if you use VS Code or even Cursor or some of the other ones, like you could vibe code PHP and C# or whatever language it is, Go or whatever it is they're using on the backend, but you do that independently. In fact, one of the applications that I built, I did a video on it, but it's not really a good video, to be honest. It's one of my first videos on my channel. This is not even an overstatement. It's actually 30 days. I did this a year ago, not this year, last year, when all these vibe coding tools didn't exist, and I literally vibe coded an entire application by just going to ChatGPT and copying and pasting code. That's all I did, and I built up the structure for it. So I actually believe that's a really good, solid, this is my evidence of it, like my coding structure. Like I did a lot of stuff in 20 days time. This was like me just going hard at this, evenings and weekends, by the way. And what I found is that back then, we didn't have really good kind of tools, right? But I was able to write the entire backend architecture in C#. Now, the downside to this is that you have to know some coding, which I'm hoping that most people on this channel know. But I was able to do that, and I did that really pretty well because I was able to structure the folder, structure how I want, think about things. So what I've been trying to do with this AI stuff is, how do you really rapidly vibe code all of the front end, all of the UI, all of the pieces, vibe code the sort of like the scaffold of the entire project, and then you just start going into the weeds by writing the backend layer and then slowly go from there. That's what I've been trying to do. And so that's why I got a lot of these tools in place. You have to advance a lot of work in less than 1 hour. Yeah, I know. Got a lot of stuff to do. So let's just keep hammer out here. And don't worry, like I said, we're going to come back every single thing. Now, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to try to do these videos. I'm going to put the video up live so everybody can go back and watch them. But also what I'm going to try to do is break them up, and the parts where I miss or I just didn't cover, I'm going to chop them up into smaller videos so we could just focus on that part. Maybe might be a video just on the database part, right? Or just on Cloudflare D1 part. Like just so that's what will end up happening. Okay, so let's see where we got here. Let's see if we're doing things right. So let's see if did it work. Let's see. So again, all we're trying to do is just get functionality. See, okay, so it did bring my dark scheme in. It didn't do the navigation. Can you make sure that all of the pages are connected properly? Right now, if I click on the video thumbnail, it doesn't take me to the view page, and I have no way to do the upload. I need to be able to get to the upload page. Make sure that the entire navigation for the website works. I also wanted the drop-down menu for the avatar, okay? Because this is now working, this upload. Okay, actually, yeah, the upload is going there. I didn't click on that before. All right, the drag and drop here. So that's good. And then let's go back here, video 2. Yeah. And what we should do is we're going to tell it to use some dummy data because we didn't actually tell it any single thing about data. So we're going to try to get the data structure going here because we're a little bit behind schedule. And again, I promise you guys, I'm going to be better at this because what I really want to do, just make sure the thing is I want to go from basic to advanced really fast, okay? Like in the 3-hour period that we're together, we're not just dilly-dallying on the vibe code and stuff, because it's like anybody could vibe code any of these applications these days, right? Like we want to get away from the basics. We want to cover all the basics properly, but we really want to get to the advanced stuff. But I want to make sure that I'm dotting my I's, so that I'm going to put this stuff in a playlist so that people in the future, beginners, could just come and just start watching from day one, and at least they were able to get up to speed, so that when we're talking more advanced stuff, like everybody's on the same level, right? At least that's my hope. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, and then last but not least here, we're going to try to get this thing to do a data structure for it. So you know what, while that's happening, let's go over to, this is where ChatGPT really shines. Can you help me to flesh out an entire data structure for everything, so that I could put it in JSON and we could click around, and give me some dummy data as well too. Okay, so data structure, super important, right? But at least we'll have a schema that we could use for the entire application, and then we could generate data on top of that, right? And this is honestly, this is the good thing about having the conversation in ChatGPT, is because now I could, which if you guys haven't been using, please do, create a project, dump every single thing inside of there. In fact, I should do that right now. Creative vibe code and project. So I put this with my YouTube stuff. Yeah, we should, because it's all YouTube related, right? Yeah, let's do that. Refresh it. Okay, there we go. So dummy data. Okay, give me at least 15 video dummy data related, and make them related to my channel. Might as well get some ideas on what to build. Yeah, a lot of work to do in less than an hour. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, let's push here, guys. Let's push. All right. Okay, so again, we're going to push this up. We're going to do a deployment to Cloudflare again, so at least we have the latest. And then we're going to start talking about the backend database type stuff, and then we'll see how far we get from this. So what are we doing here? All right. And I think everybody that's in here is subscribed, but if you haven't, for however reason the algorithm works, please do subscribe. That would also help. Or for anybody in the future that's watching this as well too. Okay. I've been thinking about using, let's see what you got here. So I've been thinking on using the microphone to do prompts, and now I feel more confident to do it. I used to do it in the mobile version. Yeah, no, for sure. It's the only way. It's not the only way, obviously, but I'm actually pretty bullish on this. So like I said, just at the start, we just had a conversation with ChatGPT. Super, super important. Just to say, like brainstorming. Honestly, I will brainstorm with ChatGPT for an hour. I'll put my earpods in, I'll take a shower, and I'll be chatting to ChatGPT or listening something in my brain. I kid you not, I'm that crazy. Maybe don't do that, but I'm just saying, have the conversation to brainstorm the ideas, because the brainstorming is the context to then do the formalization of the documents, right? That's the key. And then you get to just have a conversation in a natural language that works. I think that's an underrated sort of like superpower of thing. Good, how are you? Okay, fantastic. Are you guys open tomorrow? Gonna come tomorrow? Okay, 7:30. Okay, so I'll come down in the morning, first thing. Awesome, appreciate it, thank you. Okay, bye. Sweet, car's ready. My car is in the shop, and I have their loaner, so I have to swap cars, get back my car. Fantastic. Okay, yeah, Google Gemini instead of ChatGPT, but I don't know which one is better. Okay, let me make sure I got your other question here first, so I use it. Yeah, okay, got you. So let me read your other question here. I have Gemini instead of ChatGPT, but don't know which one is better for this stuff like brainstorming. I've used Gemini. I have it on my phone. It's okay. I find the conversation to be better with ChatGPT, but the truth is, I don't think you need to get hung up on that. As long as you're having the conversation to figure out, like just have the conversation to offload what's in your brain into the AI. It's just a memory. That's all you're using it. You're just using it as a memory dump. At the end of the day, you almost pretty much get the same thing in terms of documentation. Google Gemini has caught up as far as I'm concerned from an implementation standpoint. Personally, I haven't really of recent done a lot of Gemini like coding. And that's because now that I'm on Claude 4, I've just been sticking with it. And again, I mentioned this earlier, I don't know if you were here, but I was like, just stick to one model and stick to one platform and just go hard with it. And the reason is because you have to develop a level of intuition with it. So if you're using Gemini, by all means, just use Gemini and just go deep with the brainstorming, and then go deep with the PEDR, and then and you just hammer it home until you get a feel for it. And you'll know whether it's good enough for you or not. And when you switch to another model, it makes it so much easier for you to be able to figure out whether the model is working or not. That's what I've been doing, right? It's like I'm just like laser focused on one, so I have that intuition feel, and then from there, like I could literally tell you within 5-10 minutes whether a model is better or not, like just by using it. And that's what I've been doing. Hopefully that helps you. So let's go back to come on, did we not run this? Why is it stop? Hang on. That's npm run dev. Okay, there we go. Click on that. Still no navigation, but is what it is. We're just going to go take our schema and we're going to basically develop a structure, data structure. So let's clear the context. And then what we're going to do is we're going to close off some of this bad boy here. We're going to go back to the home page here. I'm going to say my navigation is still not working properly. I want you to create a new data folder and use this data structure to load up the details, and then also make sure that the navigation is working. All right. Hey man, thanks for hanging out. Really, I appreciate it. Oh, you're in India. You're not in Philippines. I thought you were in the Philippines. By the way, you achieved your goal of getting 10 viewers. Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate that. Live stream, congratulations. Hey, we're celebrating every single win, right? That is 100% a success for me in every single way. So I appreciate you coming out and hanging out, considering the time zone, 1 a.m. Listen, man, I appreciate every single thing. Come back and watch the live stream. Like I said, I'm going to be doing more videos like this later on to fill in the parts that we just didn't cover on stream. So don't worry about that. I'm going to try to make them short, concise, and to the point for the other parts that you missed, so that when we come back next week, we're just going to try to jump into sort of the slightly deeper end, and we're just going to keep going. All right, that's the mission. All right, Ramon, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Okay, so with that, hopefully we got some data structures coming. The only downside to this stuff here is that the churning away is it just feels slow. The irony is that you couldn't, as a human being, write half of this code in the space of time that these models are generating the code. However, it feels very slow, right? And I don't know how to explain that other than we've just gotten spoiled. We've gotten accustomed to this thing just generating code, and we're like, oh, why is it so slow? I was like, it would take you probably weeks to properly do this properly, right? And we just did this in a 3-hour span while talking on a live stream. And we're like, yeah, no, it's models are slow. Spoiled brat human beings. So anyway, what else we got? Okay, let's see what we got we could talk about while we're doing this stuff. Okay, so we got a data structure. So you know what? Let's push a little bit here. Let's jump on our WhatsApp. We're going to try to, last half an hour here, we're going to try to cram a little bit more. So what are we going to do? We're going to try to get so we got a thing. We're going to try to see if we could at least push up a database. We're going to get one of these Debond databases up and running in the cloud, and then we're going to try to push this schema to it, okay? For that, we're just going to create a new project because I don't want to mix front-end and back-end. Big believer in separating your front-end and back-end. This is very different from the Next.js world. These guys use Prism and all these different platforms. I'm not going to do that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to, let's see the fastest way we could do it. So we're just going to go to, let's do it the Cloudflare way. So we're just going to go Cloudflare, create worker D1. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it this way. Yeah. It's going to create a worker first, and then we're going to create a D1 database. We're going to join them together. We'll talk about it while we kind of keep moving forward here. So I'm going to create a new project. So here's what we're going to do. Let's do it. Let me copy this first. We're going to right click. We're going to new terminal. We're going to paste this. We're going to do platform, and then we're going to do database. Just so at least we got some structure. Let's do copy this guy. Create a worker, and then I'm going to paste that. And where it says first worker, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to make this, all right, separation of concern. Yeah, create a Cloudflare, yes. Framework starter, we're going to go down to Hono. If you don't know, Hono is like the official framework for Cloudflare. You could use anything, but Hono is like where it's at. And then what we're going to do while that's happening, we're going to jump into Cloudflare. We're going to go down to storage databases, and we're going to go create a new database, and we're going to name it YouTube Week 1 Platform Database. Yes, therefore at least we know what it is, right? So we could create these bad boys. You're going to need this ID. That's important. I'm going to need that in a sec. Let's go to tier 1, open that up, zoom in a little bit, and TS. So we're going to say connect the database, a D1 database, using this ID. Okay, so we're going to connect our ID for a D1 database, and then while that's happening, we're going to go get our schema set up for a D1. We won't do get right now. We're just not going to do any get. And then you want to deploy your application. We're going to do yes. Okay, so we're pushing this up live. Now, I got to be clear with you. We're working live right now and we're deploying live, right? So the best way to do this right off the top is just make sure that you put this, just lock it down with zero. So I'll show you what I mean in a sec here. So all I have to do, because I already have Zero Trust set up, okay, is see here, I'm hitting this right now. It's public. You guys could hit this right now. However, if I come in here, and highly recommend that you do this all the time, just so at least you have some kind of initial security. And I'm showing you this stuff here because it's super important, right? Especially based on the fact that I'm coding this live in public. So where are we here? Security Center. Where am I looking? Cloudflare's navigation is just horrible. Security Center, and I'm looking for Zero Trust. Where the hell is it? There we go, Zero Trust. Okay, so keep this, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go to gateway access. No, where is it? Oh, I'm losing my mind here. Network, security, Zero Trust, logs, my team, my networks, access. It has to be, yes, access, sorry, yes, access. And then, yeah, so we just go to access. And what we want to do is just basically want to say add application, and we're going to say it's a do not host with Salesforce Workday. So it's an application, it's self-hosted. We're going to click select, and then basically what we're going to do is we're going to enter the application name, YouTube platform. We're going to paste that inside of there. Session start duration, that's fine. And add host name, not this one here. We're going to do custom, and then just going to do that. Oops, that's not the full domain name. This guy here. Okay, so just watch what happens when I refresh. You'll see in a second here. So back, pace, and 24 hours. That's fine. Everything else is okay. Click on next. Cloudflare default. Every single thing I'm just going to take as default for now. Okay, so that's one. And then we're going to do the same thing for the API. Okay, we're officially locked out. Again, it's not perfect security, but it's one layer. So at least protect me from getting hit by spammers or whatever, especially when you're doing this type of stuff live. So it's locked down, and then you do the exact same thing for this one here, so it's not as public, okay? But we're gonna move forward because it's not super important this right this second. So with that, where are we at? We're 36 here. So let's keep pushing a little bit more here. So let's see what we got with the vibe coding. So keep this. We got the D1 database in place. Okay, so this is D1 database. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go bring that schema, and then we're going to tell it to populate some dummy data, so at least we have something in place. So come on, let's do this here. Copy, bring over, okay. So create an API and use this data structure, and then create a script that could push some data into the D1 database. Yeah. Storage and databases, D1, we can go into here, and we can go to explore data, or we could just start writing the scripts in here to kind of run to create the tables, etc., etc. Okay, but we'll see how VS Code handles just doing this part. While that's being done, let's just see what we got here. All right, so we got navigation, we got things. So let's just see if it runs locally, see what's going on. We're up on time, so I'm less talking right now. All right, so not hello world. Let's go with, oops, not a problem. Pro tip, by the way, you see here, my theme is the same. There's a way for you to change I'm not going to do it right now because I got stuff going, but you could tell VS Code to highlight the theme in a different color so that you don't get confused between the different. I do this all the time. In VS Code, in the settings, you could actually tell it to have a very specific color for each VS Code project so that you don't get confused. Super important. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Going forward, all right, so we got a little bit more. So what we should do is we should tell it to put it like a default thumbnail if it doesn't have any single thing, but at least here we have thing. Now I don't know why the navigation is not working, but we'll get to that. The upload is working, but for some reason the navigation is not. Yeah, like it's not actually navigating to a page. Sorry to ask, but which AI tools you use in VS Code? GitHub Co-Pilot. I use GitHub Co-Pilot with Claude, and you don't have to be sorry about asking. You ask away all you want. So I'm using GitHub Co-Pilot with Claude. Why? Because I use AI extensively like anybody else, and what I've noticed is, I don't know if it's I'm grandfathered in or what the deal is. However, in my account, the GitHub, I have a corporate account, but I don't use a corporate account. I use my personal account. And last month, I went over this by 250%. And I haven't seen an extra charge yet. So all these people that are complaining about cloud's expensive, Microsoft is shielding me from that cost right now. And more importantly, I think Microsoft is trying to win the game here with AI. So they've been very lenient. Now I know it's not going to last forever, but they've been very lenient about if you go over your premium request, they just allow it. There's no cap or any single thing, at least that I've seen. Now I don't know if that's going to happen for you, because since they launched their $10 a month plan, I instantly jumped on. I think now, I don't know how much I'm paying. I want to say it's the $45 a month plan. Yeah, okay. So yeah, here, $10 a month. Active subscription, GitHub Co-Pilot, $10 a month. So I'm on the Pro. I've been paying this for a while and it's been solid. They're trying to win the race, and so they want to find people that's going to love Copilot. And I definitely have upgraded to the Plus, but the truth is I haven't had to. It's like a gem, a hidden gem. And Microsoft is obviously footing the bill with Claude, but they don't care about that right now because they're trying to win, right? At least that's my suspicion of what's going on. Okay, so hang on. How far are we? How far are we here? Oh, there we go. Okay, we got an inside page. Look at that. Inside page related. Now my inside page is not, doesn't have the same theme. So let's just tell it, which one am I on? See this here? See, I just almost made a mistake. I noticed that my navigation is still not working correctly. And however, when I do get to the inside page, which it is showing, the watch video page, the theme is completely different. It's not a dark theme. Okay. I keep saying team is, but it understands me. It knows what I'm talking about. That's my accent, by the way. Okay, great. So we got database schema. Look at this. Okay. And we got our videos here. So what does it want me to do? Schema, database schema, complete, blah, blah. Schema videos here. Great. That's fantastic. List all videos for by ID, etc. Initialize database. And then start your development server. Initialize the database. Seed with your data. And then test it. Okay. All right. Can you get it done for me? Can you get it done for me, please? All right. So we're just going to basically get it read up. We're going to seed our database and let it just go out, put some data inside of it based on the schema that we already created. And then we're going to try to see if we could get this thing connected. All right. Now, here's where I would make some recommendations for you guys. Even though, and you know what? I might end up switching the project to make this happen. I don't know as yet. Maybe I might keep it separate, but putting every single thing in a mono repo kind of makes sense. This is something I started doing recently, and by recently, like literally yesterday. I've been thinking about it for a while. I've been re-architecting a lot of stuff. I have a project that I just did a mono repo for. My initial commit was it was about 15,000 files. It was a lot. That being said, though, I think I found a bug on Cloudflare because I just messaged them about it. I should pull that up while we're waiting on this stuff here. On Cloudflare, it turns out that if you have a mono repo, it doesn't seem to be honoring. Now, where would I find that? I don't even know where I would find the post that I did. But issues, maybe? I don't know. I did a post about it because the mono repo, for some strange reason, does not allow. Actually, you know what? My GitHub has this one has the problem. Users problem. Cloudflare worker directory here. So if you have a mono repo, one of the biggest problems that I ran into was that it wasn't Cloudflare. Even though you set the directory that you wanted to pull from, it doesn't honor it. It tries to pull the entire project in, which was just a really big problem. So that was something that was an issue. So I'm using that way. I have a corporate account too, but I have been restricted overuse. The 300 premium requests. Yeah, Cloud is the best for complex, and I found that I get more value from it. Yeah, 100%. No question about it. The Cloud is just, it's rock solid. Now, that being said, I've had some drifts of lately that my intuition tells me there's some other stuff going on there. I know people have complained about it before. They claim that third party weren't having the same problem. It was just Claude itself. So I'm not certain what was happening there. So I don't know what the relationship that Microsoft has with Cloudflare and traffic, but this is what I'll say. All of Microsoft models are in Azure Foundry. I don't know if you guys know about Azure Foundry, but it's like the corporate version of thing, right? Azure Foundry. which is, by the way, where I plan to do all my AI routing and every single thing, because it's like rock solid. It had a lot of stuff inside of there. This is like a whole next level of AI development. So all of AI Azure's models is hosted in there, and I think, I don't know for certain, they have a copy of Claude. So the problems that most people were having with Claude, we weren't having, and I think that's because they have their own sort of internal licensed version of it. I'm not certain about that, but in either case, Claude has been very consistent. That being said, I've definitely, in the last couple of days, it seemed like it was off base a little bit, but of today and the last couple of, definitely the last 24 hours, I feel like it's back on track. The problem with this system is that you don't know, because even though they tell you using Claude Sonnet 4.0, there's an intermediate layer, and that intermediate layer is always moving. So you really don't know which version you're on, right? But yeah, where are we? We got to get some deployments. Okay, let's see what our AI is doing. So init, okay, database. Seems like the server shut down whenever curl command. Come on, baby. Let's get some deployments happening. Server stop. Let me try a different port. Please, come on. Just do your thing. Remove the watch window. Okay, so while those two are actually, you know what we still need to get. Did we fix our problem with the UI? Probably. Let's see. Okay, great. Server is up and running. Allow. Yes. Fail to connect and host. Okay, why are you failing? Okay, something's going on. This is the third time that this is happening, so we're just gonna kill it if it continues. Internal error, profile, finally, it's done. Platform is live. Database initialization off speed. Okay, let's find out. Let's go back to Cloudflare. Okay, at bare minimum, we're gonna get at least a database seeded. That's my commitment. And then the API stuff, we're gonna connect afterwards. Cloudflare, where are we? Sorry, nothing here. There's no database seed in here. Yeah, you haven't done a single thing. Now it did show that there was a request of some sort. There might be some truth to it. Yeah, no, we got nothing here. Okay, let's. Server is running. All of your dummy data is being loaded. That's not true. Nothing is being loaded. I've got a bunch of internal errors inside of here. Can you double check that this is actually connected to Cloudflare remote and that the data is actually in? Validate it. Okay, so watch 3000. Let's go back to this. Make sure that this is doing its right thing. Come on. Oops. Okay, this is looking a little bit better. It's still not navigating, but that's fine, because if I refresh the page, it actually does navigate. It's just for some reason the navigation is just not working properly. Navigation page is still not correct. However, it is what it is. So allow. Okay, so let's just do a deployment on that. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna push it up on time here, cutting it close. At bare minimum, we need to get a database seeded. Okay, this is my commitment. I'm going to get this database seeded. Because if we do, then at least the only thing that we have to do now is just basically connect Frontend to API, right? And that's like the middle tier, which can be vibe coded out. But where are we? This is database. Okay, so it's going to try to, good, now let me start a remote database with local flag. Remote, excellent is scanned, remote DB, notice it no longer says local. Let me test connection. Up against the wire. Come on, let's get some database going. Oh, yeah. Your worker access to the following bindings. Recommended development. Refer to support bindings. Try it out now by running Wrangler dev. Yeah, we did that. Okay, so where are we stuck here? Excellent. Now the connection is. Okay, hang on. Let's just tell it you're stuck. Try again. Something is going on. This is fine. So while this is happening, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take this API here. We're going to take this API and then we're going to say create new. We need a couple things. We need a service folder. No, we need a service folder. Services folder. At least that's what I'm going to call it. And then in here, we're going to just call it API service. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to tell it create a generic API CRUD interface. So we can do CRUD operations. And then we're going to create, read, update, delete. So make it generic so that we can pass in the URL paths as well as parameters. Okay, so that's going to be for this file. We also want to create a composable. We should create a use video.ts. I'm trying to push a little bit faster than the AI because it'll just take a little bit of time. And then what I'll do is, okay, we're going to double bank this one by trying this guy here. And then we're going to tell it to use this schema and use the use video.ts file and create a composable that will then call API service to be able to list videos accordingly from the API. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Use this API code as a reference because we're going to be calling all of the API paths. So these paths need to line up with the use video. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, and we should be able to get something half decent from it. All right, up against wire here. So is this working or not? You're right. Properly diagnose the issue limit. Curl is failing. Connect, refuse. Terminal. Okay, you know what? It's okay. We're just going to do it manually. You're wasting my time. Wasting my time, sir. Yeah, you're wasting my time. Stop. Just review the schema and give me the code in SQL to see the database properly. I'm just going to run those scripts manually. So let's just do this. Copy this guy. Yeah, so you see here, this is where like a tool like, oh my goodness, a tool like Prism, or what's the other one? Going crazy here. Prism, or what's it, Drizzle, or any one of these tools will work, right? We're not trying to get into all of that right now. We're just trying to just get the basics going here, okay? So we're just going to create the database tables manually so we can store all that information. All right, got some index. Okay, so we got that. And now we're just going to tell it, hey, so these are the tables. And then we're just going to copy this here. What do we got here? What am I doing here? Okay, yep, we got nothing in there, so that's fine. Paste some data. Okay, data verification script. Database connect, execute Wrangler. Copy. Okay, so connect the data once directly and then just do this. Okay, test the database. Okay, continue. Perfect. I can see your database, D1, execute Wrangler. Great. We got data. Oh, the database is empty. Select from. Yes, tags. Okay, you got perfect. All 4 tables are created. Now let's test the data. Create a few videos or tested the relationship. Blah, blah, blah. We got data inside of there. And just to be clear, if I come back inside of here, I can click on explore data. Nope, nothing in here. Explore data. Video tags. Why are they all empty? Did I not see that? Oh, maybe I didn't see this or anything. Execute onboarding. What did I not? Did I not run this? I thought I did. So run. Foreign key constraint fail. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, so skip this, stop this, send this in. All right. Okay, so where are we at? Let's do some summary here so that we can close things off at least on a positive note. First live stream, so was a little bit slower than I would like. Probably chatted away too longer. Hopefully you guys got some value from it. I think, so here's what I'll say. Number one is, okay, let me just talk about where we are across the board. I was more in the code than actually explaining what's going on, which is the downside of like live streaming, because trying to teach, but also trying to code, trying to figure out bugs at the same time. So bear with me. I promise these live streams will get significantly better over time once I get a little bit more flow. So yeah, we'll be a little rough around the edges. But okay, so where are we at overall? Okay, so let's just back things up and then we'll just at least talk about it. Because we got a database, we got to think about, we missed a couple of marks. We'll talk about them and then we'll just wrap things up for today. And then I'll finish up a video specifically on the database part of it. So at least next week, we don't necessarily have to go into the details of that. So we did the vibe coding. Okay, I'm going to put V for vibe coding. We created a task list, task. We also created a style guide, SG. Okay, so those are the 3 documents that we got all together. Then we did a U and we used VZero and Stitch, Google Stitch, T-I-T-C-H. That basically got us some HTML. Then we used Bolt. Bolt was so we could get a foundation. So took all those together, put them into one application, and then we basically took the HTML and we did all the components, P-O-N-T and T-S. Okay, great. Then we got the computers. Then we created a separate project, created a schema, which by the way came from the ChatGPT. So we basically just took that to put it into to create the schema. Created a D1 database. What's the missing piece? The missing piece is that this application at the top does not know how to talk to this application at the bottom. So what we need is we need some API glue. And that API glue is basically so we could basically call this application here with the details. The API is actually sitting in this application. This application is going to do the talking to the database and all that. Why? Because we're going to have to put security in front of this. right? We're gonna have to put rate limiting and all the other fancy stuff that kind of goes with API and security and stuff, which we're gonna talk about in the next video. We're gonna do this API here. We're gonna get it going, make sure that we got all the pieces in place. And then in our next video, what we're gonna start doing is we're gonna basically focus on uploading data into the database. The API will do that already, but I'll also pushing it up to the streaming service, Cloudflare streaming, and then we're going to try to use that to serve up the data back into the actual application. So at least we could upload a file, we could watch it stream, and we could have all the security, etc. And then what we're going to do, we're going to keep building on this application here, is we're going to put actual login so people can actually sign up in front of it. So you could think of this as, now that I'm thinking about it, we're going to sign up so that you could make your own private sort of streaming service platform, right? Where you have your private videos that you could share. So in other words, not YouTube, it'll be like its own corporate thing. And then we might as well just connect Stripe to the entire thing, right? So that we could actually just get paid for our SaaS application. We'll make it into a full application. So the goal is that we'll try to finish up those pieces. I'm going to try to compress those set of points in another video. And then what I'll do is during the week, I'm going to try to connect the API parts so that when we jump into Vibe Coding 101 next week, like we're further along, right? We're now in like authentication. We're more like the more advanced stuff, right? Because again, the goal of these videos is to try to really fast track and get into the deep end of stuff, right? At least that's my mission. And then we're going to create these templates as we figure things out. And those templates, we're going to put it up on GitHub so that people could get access to them in the future. And yeah, I might actually get an email address or something from you guys, because I think that might be important, so I can at least build up a list to communicate, let you guys know what's happening. But anyway, hopefully you gotten some value. I see there's still 6 people on the chat. Listen, man, I appreciate you guys just hanging out with me. We didn't get as far as I'd like in this video, but again, like I said, I was chatting quite a bit and had just lots of different random thoughts hopping through, and you guys were asking questions too, so I was trying to answer them and build a little bit of community. Hey, 6 people, I don't know if you're actually watching or you just have this in the background, but if you are, I appreciate you. I just want to stress that I appreciate you. We got 10 live views today, and that for me is a win, considering this is my first ever live streaming of anything on the internet, talking to random strangers who are now my friends. Like, you guys are officially my internet friends, and we will forever hold that as our secret bond between me and you. So with that, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate it. We're going to wrap this up now. Like I said, the video is going to be online. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you giving me some comments. So thank you for that, for sure. That means a lot to me, considering, like I said, first time doing this. Well done. Have a good one, guys. All the code is on my GitHub repo. I'm going to put the links in the chat so you can get access to it. I'm trying to also keep track of the prompts as well, too. It's on my personal one. But I'm trying to keep track of the prompts also so that you could at least see how it's evolving. And obviously, you can watch the video and stuff. I'll try to structure this stuff in a good way for you guys. Yeah, with that, it's been a pleasure. Have yourself a wonderful day. Oh, and if you're in Canada, it's Thanksgiving weekend. Just be thankful for life, for family, the fact that we could hang out and just code together. Super important. Spend some time with your family. That's the most important thing, regardless of whatever. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Bye.